Have you seen what is going on in the SBC? It's crazy. Should I leave or should our church stay? These are some of the questions that people have been asking me lately, whether it's over CRT or women preaching or SBC presidents who steal sermons. A lot of people are asking questions about whether they should stay or whether they should leave the Southern Baptist Convention. So, what should we think about this? Well, welcome to the channel. I'm Pastor Bill. I'm the youth pastor at Berea Baptist Church here in Fredericksburg, Virginia. If you are looking for a church that unashamedly teaches the Bible, believes everything it says is true, then please, we'd love to have you join us on a Sunday if you're near Fredericksburg. So this is a question that I actually get semi-frequently from people because they know that I pay attention to the SBC and what's going on. I get asked whether churches should consider staying or they should consider leaving. And it's interesting because this is coming on the SBC convention being this next week. Just here in a few days, people are going to be meeting to talk about SBC business. So a lot of people are asking me, what should we think about this? Should we stay? Should we go? Should we fight? Should we just give up and let them have the SBC? What should we do? People ask, Bill, has the SBC just gone too far? Should we get out? Is it time to leave? Or even if they aren't asking me the question, I hear a lot of people talking about the fact that they are considering leaving. Their church is talking about it. Their elders are talking about it. They're trying to figure out, is the SBC run its course? Do we need to leave and look at something else? Usually my response is that you can't fix something if you say, hey, I'm going to take my toys and I'm going to go home and I'm going to do my own thing. Usually the response I get to that from a lot of people that know that I follow Spurgeon and that I like Spurgeon, they'll respond with, well, Spurgeon did. Well, he did, but let's look today at a couple of facts about his leaving of the Baptist Union in the late 1880s and see if that really matches up with what's going on in the SBC currently. The first thing we need to understand is that Spurgeon didn't leave right away. When the downgrade controversy started in 1887, Spurgeon was actually the one that kicked it off with some articles he posted in the Sword and the Trowel. And he didn't leave right away. And these are issues that he'd been seeing for a long time. And he didn't leave right when he saw these issues start to come up. He fought. He used his platform. He tried to talk to people that he knew. He petitioned them to kind of repent of these beliefs that were leading them away from Orthodox theology. But he did ultimately end up leaving the Baptist Union in 1888. But again, these weren't problems that came out of nowhere. It wasn't in 1887 as he's trying to figure out an article for the Sword and the Trowel, hey, here's all these issues that we haven't seen coming. These had been coming for a while. So why did Spurgeon ultimately decide to leave the Baptist Union? Well, one of the first things is he didn't feel like he had any support. He was kind of a one-man group. There wasn't a lot of support. There were few here and there, but a lot of people he didn't have support in the union, and he kind of felt like he had lost his ability to kind of rely on other people in the union. See, that's the first thing that we see different in the SBC divide today is whatever side you fall on, whether you fall on the side of the SBC is going a direction that I don't want it to, or you fall on the side of the SBC really isn't that bad off. There are other people, tons of other people who fall in that category with you and believe the same things. This is not, no one is alone. And pastors that talk about the fact that the SBC convention's gone crazy and they kind of feel like they're a one-man band, I'm telling you, you are not alone. There are other people in the SBC who are feeling the same thing that you are feeling. The second thing that we need to look at is what were the actual issues that caused Spurgeon to leave? The first was the denial of the deity of Jesus. So there was a thing going on in the Baptist Union where they were denying that Jesus was really the Son of God. And that's a huge difference to what we're facing now, because I would be hard-pressed to believe anyone that says that there is someone in the SBC who is denying the deity of Jesus. Show me a single pastor in the SBC who is denying the deity of Jesus. I don't think they exist. And if they do, I'll stand corrected, and I'd like to have a conversation about that. But they're definitely not the majority. There's not groups of pastors who are saying Jesus wasn't really the Son of God. It's just not out there. The second thing that Spurgeon faced was the atoning work and the death of Jesus. They were denying the atoning work of what Jesus did for us on the cross. Again, this is a huge difference of what we're facing in the SBC right now. I don't see people walking around denying the atoning work of Jesus and that's how we are saved. Now, I'm going to put a pin in this one because I do think that we could easily slide into this with some of the issues that we're facing if they remain unchecked. But I don't believe that we are there yet. I don't believe there are any pastors out there denying the atoning work of Jesus. But we'll come back to that one here in a minute. The third was the denial of the inspiration of the Bible. They were denying the fact that the Bible was written by God, it was inspired by God, it was the ultimate source of truth. They were starting to question, is the Bible, not even question, deny that the Bible was the ultimate source of truth. Now, see, this one the SBC has actually faced, and this was a big issue in the conservative resurgence of the 80s and 90s, where professors and pastors were denying the inspiration of the Bible. They were denying the fact that the Bible was our ultimate source of truth. But again, can you name any pastors today in the SBC who are denying the inspiration of the Bible? I don't know that you can. Again, if you know of one, point them out to me. But I just don't see that from the people that I see in the SBC, even people that I very much disagree with their stances on stuff. I don't see them denying the inspiration of the Bible. But again, this is one that we need to put a pin in because I believe that some of the stuff we're facing, if left unchecked, we could begin to move into this. So these were just a couple of the issues that Spurgeon faced in the downgrade controversy, which ultimately led him to leave the Baptist Union in 1888. So what are the current issues in the SBC that are leading all of these people to say, hey, I want to leave the SBC. I don't think this is right for me anymore. One of the first ones that you hear people talk about all the time is CRT. Now, the background of this was that in 2019, a resolution was passed at the annual convention that basically adopted CRE as an analytical tool, is what they called it. And plenty of people in the SBC, to include myself, had issues with that language, that it was an analytical tool because of what CRT is and the way it connects back to Marxism. This is not something that we should be using. This is where I think that if we don't be careful, we could start to slip into something that could potentially be really, really bad for the SBC. So a little bit of background. What is the idea behind CRT? CRT is the idea that there is always an oppressor and an oppressed group. And those in the majority are always the oppressors. Those that are in the minority are always the oppressed. The only solution is basically a change of power. And so because they get the problem wrong and they don't acknowledge that sin is the actual problem, it's not a majority thing, it's not a minority thing, it's not an oppression thing, it's a sin issue. One of the things that CRT people will tell you is that everyone is racist. If you are in the majority, you're automatically racist. Well, I don't believe that. And again, that's not the issue. It's not a fact of, hey, if you're in the majority, then you're the problem. And if you're in the minority, you're not, which some will tell you if you're in the minority, you're incapable of being a problem. That's a denial of what the gospel teaches us about us all being sinners. So if we aren't careful here, we could see ourselves begin to slide into an area where this does take us off course, and we do have people starting to deny things like what Jesus did for us. Because if you get the problem wrong and you get the solution wrong, then everything else is going to be wrong. So this is an issue where if left unchecked, we could slide somewhere that we don't want to slide. But we aren't there yet. Again, even the people that think it's a good analytical tool, I don't believe that they are to the point yet where some of us think they are. You know, Tom Askell, who's a big name, if you've followed any of this stuff, he's been a big name in calling some of this stuff out. Even he just had a podcast here a couple of weeks ago where he talked about one of the guys that he's been extremely critical of. He had a phone conversation with him, and it ended up being not as much of a separation as he originally thought it was going to be. And I think that is proof of the fact that we need to have a lot more conversation before we just say, hey, I'm cashing in my chips, I'm taking my toys, and I'm going home. Another issue that we've been facing is all of this stuff with sexual abuse and sexual assault in the SBC. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying. This is a massive problem, and I do believe that wherever there are allegations of this, we need to investigate, and people that are found in the wrong need to be prosecuted, and they need to be dealt with very severely. But a couple of concerns, kind of like the CRT thing, if you get the problem wrong, then you're going to get the solution wrong. And again, this is a sin problem, not a problem where a lot of people are saying it's a leadership problem, and there's people in leadership that are causing this. And no, it's a sin problem. And I think that if we get that wrong, kind of like CRT, this is somewhere that we could start to slip, somewhere that we don't necessarily want to be. Now, the other issue, the issue that I have more importantly with this, because I do believe that any form of sexual abuse, any form of sexual assault needs to be dealt with extremely severely. The issue that I do have with this is the organizations that we are hiring to give us advice and to investigate these allegations. We hired an organization called Guidepost this year to investigate and see where the problems were and make recommendations and do all this. And they got a lot of SBC money. Come to find out, they don't hold to the same morals that we do. They just here a few days ago posted a post on social media about Pride Month and their support for Pride Month. And that goes against what the SBC stands for. Now, we wouldn't give money to missionaries who don't line up with our beliefs. In fact, if you look at our missionary organizations, our missionaries are required to hold to the Baptist faith and message. They're expected to believe that. So if we wouldn't give money to missionaries or people doing work, why are we paying money to outside organizations that don't believe the things we believe? Why aren't we looking for organizations that do believe what we believe? Now, some people are making the argument that this is the only organization that could have done this level of work in the time frame that was allotted and get results. And that may be a valid argument, and I think that's something to look at. But if there are other options that we could have looked at, the thing is, I believe that if you went back to the SBC and you said, hey, we have an organization that holds to the morals that we believe in, that is going to take a little bit longer to do the investigation, but they hold to what we say we believe. And we have an organization that'll meet the deadline, but they don't hold to what we believe as Southern Baptists, as Christians. I believe absolutely the Southern Baptist Convention would have been behind going with the one that believes in the morals that we believe in. So I do believe that that is an issue of where if we aren't careful with the associations that we have with different organizations, we can begin to slide and allow things, because if we're okay with, okay, your organization can support Pride Month, what else are we okay with supporting? And I think that is where we could slide into some not good areas. Now, third one that I hear people talk about, and there are tons of issues. We could talk forever about all the issues that people reference. But a third one that I hear a lot lately is about female pastors. And there's been several significant churches in the SBC, to include Saddleback, who have just ordained female pastors. Now, this one, I don't see this as an issue that raises to the level, again, yet, where this would cause separation. I think there are tools in place to deal with this. First, the Baptist Faith and Message talks about this. I mean, it's outlined in the document that the SBC has to support, that churches have to adhere to. So if churches aren't doing that, there is a process in place for, hey, they're ordaining female pastors, they're doing this, they're doing that. It doesn't match up with the Baptist Faith and Message. There is a credentials committee that can remove those churches from the SBC. Here's my problem, is when churches say, hey, churches are doing this, I don't support that, I'm out. I'm taking my toys, I'm going home, I'm done. The problem is the people that do stand against what the Baptist Faith and Message says, and that do believe in this kind of stuff, it's then easier for them to get power and ignore that process and not go through that process. And that's how you begin to slide. See, so here's the bottom line. I don't believe that just saying I'm taking my toys and I'm going home is going to fix anything. I believe that as Spurgeon showed, where he was petitioning people and he was using his platform to talk about this and he was fighting for things, I think that's what we need to see. And my question to any pastor who's talking about leaving the SBC for any of these issues was, what have you done to fight before you leave? Have you actually gone to the convention and argued these things? Have you talked to pastors you disagree with? Have you tried to reason with people that see things differently than you? Have you run for some kind of office in the SBC? Have you fought, or are you just taking the easy route out of saying, I'm done, I'm going to go do my own thing? The time may absolutely come for churches to begin to leave the SBC and for us to say, this is no longer for us. This is not going the direction that we agree with. But that will be a sad day that I think we should all work and try to avoid. And in the meantime, we need to work together to try to maintain a biblical view of everything that we're about and fight for the SBC so that it doesn't become like so many denominations that have gone liberal and they are not standing for what they originally stood for. So that's just some thoughts for you today. Take them for what they're worth. But if you are going to the SBC convention this week, think about that. Don't be so quick to say, that's it, I'm done. I'm detaching from this, because we need more people that are willing to fight and say, hey, this is not right. This is not what the Bible says. Otherwise, it'll be harder to save the SBC from the slide that will eventually come. Hey, if you like this video, go ahead and click like and subscribe. If you have any other issues, any things that I didn't talk about with the SBC, leave a comment below. I'd love to dialogue about those. I don't know nearly everything going on in the SBC, but I do try to pay attention to the things going on. So I'd love to dialogue with you, hear your thoughts, what you think, and just to continue the conversation, because I think that's what's really important right now, is that we fight for the SBC and what we believe in, and we talk with other people, sometimes people that we don't exactly see eye to eye with. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon.